Hi guys, welcome to Shade Tree Roadside Repairs channel. Today I'm gonna show you how to clean intake, manifold and EGR system on the MZR-CD 2.2 diesel engine from Mazda 6 GH. And the first thing we need to do, we need to disassemble this plastic engine cover by unscrewing 4 nuts here and there, and be very careful and don't drop them in the engine bay. Okay, this is how it looks like without the engine cover, and to the left of the intake manifold is the antifreeze pipe, and you see the top nut now. The bottom nut is not visible at this point. So, interesting thing about this engine is that in order to disassemble intake manifold, you will need to disassemble also glow plugs, which are installed kind of at the bottom side. Be very careful with the glow plugs, and before this procedure it makes sense to put WD-40 there a couple of times, and after that warm up the engine. You can do it before this procedure and drive for a couple of days. Just put some WD-40, and when you unscrew glow plugs, be very careful, and better to do it with the torque wrench to control the torque and set maximum torque like 15 Newton per meter. So let's start from the left side, and we will need to disassemble all the wirings from here. Yeah, this is my kind of tuning box for pressure sensor of the common rail system. I will create another video about that, but anyway, we will need to disassemble all the wirings, and also there is kind of metal plate here and 2 bolts, so we will need to disassemble it too in order to get an access to this top nut. As I said, bottom nut of this antifreeze pipe is not visible at this point. And I think we will need to kind of partially disassemble alternator too, because alternator doesn't allow us to get a good access to that bottom nut. So after I disassemble the wires, I will also disassemble the alternator. As you can see, I was able to unscrew the bottom nut of the antifreeze pipe by moving the alternator to the front of the car. In order to do this, I removed the belt. In order to remove the belt, I moved tensioner kind of like this, and I secured the tensioner using a dowel or spline. I used just my wrench. You can use something with 7 millimeters in diameter. Be careful with the belt, keep it like this, don't move it a lot. So alternator is mounted using 2 bolts, and the bottom bolt is the trickiest one. I unscrewed using the long wrench like this, and it's long, and on the right side, I mounted the pipes, and I had, enough space there to unscrew it. So just 2 bolts, guys, but the bottom bolt is the trickiest one. The upper bolt is pretty easy to unscrew, so just use proper wrench and it will be easy for you. So antifreeze pipe. In order to disassemble that antifreeze pipe, I suggest to drain antifreeze a bit, because otherwise you will have some antifreeze, in the pipes, and your car will be kind of dirty after that. It's also possible to just, disassemble it without draining the antifreeze, but anyway, better to drain it a bit. I decided to change the antifreeze because it's a good opportunity now. So it's up to you, but yeah. Also, you will need to disassemble those clamps. Use pliers, just pliers, or special tool for that. And also, yeah, that bolt and map sensor, guys. To drain the antifreeze, use this drain tap. use some small bottle, and do not forget to open radiator filler neck, otherwise, you know, it won't just, you know, drain easily. This is my antifreeze, guys, and it should have been green, but after more than 11 or 12 years it looks like this. So the antifreeze pipe is disassembled now. You see some green antifreeze in the engine head. I also put the belt and the alternator back in place temporarily. I also disassembled antifreeze hoses and coolant sensor wiring, as well as I unmounted map sensor, and I will need to unmount map sensor hose too. Also there is, you know, vacuum pipe. You see one bolt here and one bolt on the left side. This is vacuum pipe for the EGR cooler. And also I disassembled one bolt from the oil level thing, as you can see. The next thing I will need to do, I will need to disassemble, you know, intake manifold bolts. This bolt here and the other bolts. So you can see the rusty bolts there. And by the way, I disassembled wiring for glow plugs too. Now glow plugs are pretty visible. So also the next thing is to disassemble this wiring from here, as well as fluid, common rail fluid, and the throttle valve. Throttle valve is here, and this, you know, nut is pretty tricky because, you know, this main pipe from the fuel pump to the fluid, you know, it also should be disassembled because it kind of, you know, doesn't allow to disassemble that nut. This is the wiring from the glow plugs. It looks pretty rusty, right? As well as those small nuts too. And this is the antifreeze pipe. As you can see, it's pretty, you know, dirty. I will need to clean it. And coolant sensor, I'm not going to disassemble it because it works well. And this is the gasket. Gasket is kind of okay. It will work for sure. I will need to clean it. Better to change it, but unfortunately I don't have, you know, the spare one. I forgot to say, guys, but I also disassembled air filter. It's easy to do it. You need to just, you know, pull it, because there are 3 rubber holders here, and also MAF sensor wiring and that pipe, you know, main intake pipe. Okay, it's time to disassemble the wires. I will unscrew this bolt and that bolt. After that I will disconnect all the wires from the injectors. Also I will unscrew, you know, nuts from the pipes. And be careful here, be neat and keep the pipes clean. Also the main pipe should be also disassembled from the fuel pump, as well as intake pipe, this one, to have the more space, and battery should be disassembled too. Then I will unscrew this, you know, nuts and bolts from the EGR pipe in order to disassemble the throttle valve. Do not forget about antifreeze pipes here and there. You can use pliers, as I said, so those clamps are small. This nut, yeah, it's pretty tricky. This nut also should be unscrewed, and this bolt. So, and do not forget about wires to the throttle valve here. So, not so tricky, but it requires some time, right? The common rail fluid is disassembled. I cut off the glove and closed the fuel pump and nozzles. This is how it looks like without the battery and intake pipe. And yeah, I will also need to disassemble this pipe, vacuum pipe. This is how common rail fluid looks like. Be very careful and keep it in a clean place. And yeah, this is the main pipe from the fuel pump to the common rail fluid. So keep it in a very clean place without any dust, because even small dust can damage the injectors. And this amount of fuel was in the common rail fluid, if you were interested. Okay, I unscrewed all the intake manifold bolts and nuts, as well as glow plugs. Be very careful with the glow plugs because it's pretty easy to damage them. So if they don't move easily, do not apply much force. Be very careful. So also I disassembled battery holder here, and intake manifold is moving now. But in order to disassemble it, I will need to move those pipes somehow because they don't allow to disassemble the intake manifold. But in order to move those pipes somehow, somewhere, I will need to disassemble EGR valve as well as EGR cooler. So this is the EGR valve, and I cleaned it like 6 months ago or something like that, and it looks pretty clean. Yeah, you see the valve, so it's pretty clean. Just 3 bolts and the wiring. So I disassembled the EGR valve. As you can see, places for the 3 bolts in the engine block. Also, I disassembled EGR cooler pipe from the valve, but still, those pipes that don't allow intake manifold to, move, they still don't allow to move it enough because of EGR cooler. So it should be disassembled too. In order to do this, I will also need to unscrew it from the exhaust. So you can see there, be careful with those nuts and bolts too. Also antifreeze, hose here and there, which is very tricky hose. Yeah, I hope you see it. And I will need to, disassemble this intake pipe too to have, enough space. And my intake manifold is pretty good, I would say, but still dirty, right? This is the EGR pipe. You can see some soot there, as well as oil. And this is the EGR valve. It's pretty clean because, as I said, I cleaned the whole EGR system like around 6 months ago. So it's pretty clean still. And this is the throttle valve. Kind of the same, right? It's pretty clean. You can see some oil there. I think basically that oil, comes from the turbocharger, the main amount of that. Yeah, so I will clean it again. And this is the EGR cooler. It's pretty clean too, because I cleaned it, as I said, 6 months ago. So it has, bypass, and this thing, switches between, bypass and this radiator. So I will clean it. I will use some carburetor cleaner, as well as I will use, water and something from car wash to clean it properly. And this is intake pipe. It's clean, only oil is there. So okay, I disassembled the intake manifold, and you can see the place where EGR cooler was installed, and you see now the hole in the exhaust manifold for the EGR system. And this is the first antifreeze pipe, actually hose, not pipe, and the second one is there. Yeah, I hope you see it. I need to move those antifreeze pipes back in place to show you that another antifreeze pipe. Yeah, now you see it. It is pretty short, and because of that it's tricky to install or deinstall it from the EGR cooler, especially it's hard to install the clamp there because not so much place, but it's possible. And those are inlet ducts or channels, and this is the first cylinder. As you can see, not so much dirt inside that channel. I guess this is because it is, you know, further away from the EGR, you know, pipe, and that's why not so much soot from the exhaust, you know, goes to the first cylinder. The second cylinder is dirtier, as you can see. The third one is even dirtier, and the fourth, you know, you see a lot of dirt there. So I will need to clean it very carefully, and I will need to make sure that you know, dirt doesn't go to the engine. This is the intake manifold, and you see a lot of dirt inside. I will use carburetor cleaner to clean it, as well as foam from the car wash and water under some pressure to clean it after the carburetor cleaner. And also I will make sure that the surface of the intake manifold is clean, nice and clean before installation. So yeah, let's see it from this side. Yeah, you see what happens when soot and oil you know, meet each other. And this is the gasket, and those are glow plugs. I will clean them too, and also I will test each of them to make sure they work properly. Regarding intake ducts, to be honest, I expected they would be a bit dirtier, but they are pretty clean even if my car is more than 200,000 kilometers. So there are techniques how to clean them properly, including valves, but it requires compressor and also vacuum cleaner. I don't have them at this point, so I'm just going to clean them softly. I will put a bit of, you know, carburetor cleaner and make sure that all those, you know, deposits of dirt become kind of softer, and I think it would be enough, because after I assemble everything I will also apply special chemistry to clean it, kind of, you know, final polishing. So I think it's enough and it's a good compromise. And also make sure that dirt, you know, doesn't go inside the cylinders. Okay, so I'm cleaning intake manifold and other parts using carburetor cleaner. I think 3 or 4 bottles is enough, and use some brushes, metal brushes. As you can see, it's pretty clean now. So after this I will wash it on the car wash, and I will consider it, you know, cleaned. As you can see, EGR, you know, cooler became even cleaner, as well as EGR valve and throttle valve. So basically carburetor cleaner first and then car wash. And this is all the stuff from the intake manifold. It's not all actually, but some of the stuff, as you can see, this is all soot. Back to engine head. As you can see, holes for the glow plugs. There are dust and sand. Don't put that sand in the cylinders. It is bad for the engine. And also all those holes, you know, should be very clean. And spend some amount of time and be very careful here. I applied some WD-40 and now it's not easy to clean it, but I'm going to use cotton buds with you know, some lithium grease to clean it all. Okay, so I cleaned and I screwed glow plugs temporarily to, you know, basically use this air for the computers to clean the surface of the engine head. And this is how it looks like after all the cleaning process. So as you can see, holes for the glow plugs look good now. They're pretty clean. Sorry for the focus, guys. It's pretty hard to find the focus here. So intake ducts are also better now, cleaner. Yeah, this hole I should clean more. But anyway, it's a lot better than it was before. This is the second cylinder. Yeah, you see some sand there. I will take it out. This is another glow plug hole, looks also kind of okay. And as you can see, this cylinder is also better than it was. And the last cylinder, glow plug hole, is also okay. I will kind of clean it before mounting manifold again, but this is pretty good result, I guess. Intake duct itself looks also kind of okay, so I considered it clean. I will do some, minor cleaning before the installation, but still, now I believe it's better than it was before. Don't put a lot of carburetor cleaner, by the way, because it will go inside the cylinder and after that inside the oil. This is new gasket for the intake manifold. I guess it's Victorians, and the intake manifold after cleaning. So it's not perfect, but better than it was before. As you can see, it's a lot cleaner than it was before. And inside also, the hard part here is to clean it inside, because you need kind of long metal brush and a lot of time. I spent, I guess, around probably 30-40 minutes to clean it. And I'm satisfied with that result. You can make it perfect, but anyway, EGR stuff, exhaust stuff, and also oil from the turbocharger, everything meets each other here. And yeah, this hose is also clean. This is for the map sensor. And also I cleaned the surface a bit. I think it's okay. Okay guys, this is the end of the part 1 of the video. There will be part 2 when I assemble everything back and see how it works. Thank you for watching, guys.